Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I am joined by my good old friend, Mr. Callum Sanderson. How are we doing?
Not too bad. Recovered from the UFC 279. I won't even say just fight week. Like,
Recover from the whole thing,
the whole fight week.
the whole fight week. In this video, we'll be discussing the UFC 279 main event, the late change. That was Nate Diaz versus Tony Ferguson. Callum, based on the week that we had, was this the fight that you were happy that we saw at the end of that fiasco?
Yes. And when it first happened, I was really annoyed with Hamzat because I had, even though when the fight was first made with Hamzat and Nate, I was really annoyed with the UFC. Like, why are you doing this to Nate? Because we know why you're doing it. You're sabotaging him on the way out because this is the worst stylistic matchup for him. But then I started listening to like Michael Bisping, Dan Hardy, and I'm like, maybe Nate's got more of a chance than we're leading to believe. Like we saw Hamzat start to gas a little bit against Gilbert. It's a 5-round fight. Nate's never been stopped with punches. Like the only person that stopped him was when the towel was thrown in or it was stopped by the ref for TKO. He's never been knocked out. He's never been submitted. If you beat Nate, you usually beat him on points. Hamzat's never done 5 rounds in the UFC and he's never done it with Nate. And I was thinking, you know what? Nate survives the first 3, might guillotine him or get him in a choke in the 4th. Fight falls out. And then I'm like, all right, it's Tony. Tony's on a 4-fight losing streak. But at the same time, this is the fight should have been in the beginning. Like, This is the fight should have been. 2 fighters who are legendary in their own right at the twilight of their careers, out of their prime, but on the same collision course. I'm very, especially after what we saw Hamzat do in the co-main event, I'm over the moon that we got to see Nate versus Tony now.
Yeah, because we could have got Nate versus Dustin, because that was looking like it might have.
Hey, I'd have been on board for that as well.
I would have been 100% down for that. But for me, this was the right outcome in the end. Tony versus Nate. It's a legends fight. It's in that legends division when you know they're not title challengers anymore. It's a good way to treat the OG fans that have been there since the very beginning. 2 legends that should have fought each other a lot sooner.
Yeah.
Could you imagine this in their prime?
Oh,
They'll be both covered in their own blood.
Yes.
That's how bloody it would have been.
Smiling to the 5th round.
Oh, no, it would have been great. But yeah, as you were saying, like Tony 4-fight losing streak, Nate, is he going to give it his all? Like, what did you think at the beginning of the fight? Because I thought, like, watching it, I was a bit like, oh, this is in slow motion. Can we click the fast forward button a little bit, please?
It was sloppy. It was sloppy. It had, obviously, it's Nate in it. So with the Diaz brothers, there's one thing you guaranteed in the fight. There's going to be some mind games in there. Like, if they're hurt or not hurt, they're going to try and psych you out. They're street boys. So, like, in the street, when you have a fight, it's not just all you touch gloves. It's, I'm going to try and get in your head and I'm going to try and end this early. I think we saw that from Nate, the whole walking around, standing and hugging the cage, looking and speaking to Dana White while it was happening. He had the utmost respect for Tony Ferguson. So we've seen him usually flipping the bird and swearing at his opponents. He did none of this. Let's be honest, he did none of this. So that just alone shows the respect he had for Ferguson or had for Ferguson. But the fight itself was sloppy. And you're right. This fight happens 5 years ago. It's 2 sharp versions of themselves. You could see Tony slow down. You could see Nate slow down. But again, I think that's what added to it because it's similar to what we saw with Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler. Nick had slowed down, Robbie Lawler hadn't. And you saw a huge discrepancy there. If you had 2 fighters like we got in this fight where they both slowed down, then they're even playing field and you get a better matchup than if one's way slower than the other.
Yeah, because I felt like watching the fight, I was like, hold on, Tony's bleeding first? Like,
that was
Nate
crazy
fight without even shedding a drop of blood.
Never seen that before. It felt surreal.
exactly like this whole card in general was very, very surreal. I was like, because I thought Tony was going to win. So I thought, oh, Tony's going to be sticking around afterwards. It's good to get a win off of Nate.
Yeah.
That can help you revitalize your career because obviously Tony was making the jump to 70, which for me, I've been calling for a while.
Yeah, I've been.
How do you think he looked? Because I don't know whether or not he looked as. Do you know, get that term that we speak about, Nate? Blown up lightweight.
Yeah.
Like, look, Tony looked like he did not look like what I thought he'd look like at welterweight. He looked like a blown up lightweight.
See, I actually disagree. I think he looked healthy at 70.
Yeah, looked healthy,
do.
but I just didn't feel like he looked as lean.
No, he didn't look as lean, but I think he needs to put. I think that will come the more he fights at 70. If he does continue to fight, you'll see him put more lean muscle. But I think he looked healthy, and I actually think this is the happiest we've seen Ferguson, whether it be in the lead up to a fight, during a fight, or post fight. Like and I'm happy for this. Like outside of fighting, outside wins and losses, I'm so happy to see Ferguson looking like he's happy in life.
Yeah.
Like, because he's been handed some horrible situations, tripping over a cable cord and tearing the ligament off the bone. All the Khabib fights cancelled, make him wait for the Gaethje fight just to prove he was on weight and in shape. Then he loses that fight, loses opportunity, goes on a 4-fight losing streak. Like, I'm glad he got something out of this. Yes, he didn't get the win, but he got something out of it.
It's got a bucket full of money.
I hope so.
Full of money. Because they should have been paid for basically saving this card.
Yes, fact.
Saving this card. And like for Nate, for me, leaves exactly how probably everyone wanted him. Left on a high, left with a win. Didn't leave buried. And guess what? Like, I'm sure we'll discuss it in another video. Hamzat basically helped Nate increase his star power.
Yes. It's crazy that, isn't it?
Nate never has not looked as big as this since McGregor won.
I'd say before you could maybe dispute who's the second biggest star in the UFC. Now, I don't think it's close. I think Nate is far and away the second biggest star in the UFC.
Yeah, he's given Dana his worst nightmare. Oh, he's on the way out, and he's going to be such a huge star. He's got money, like he's going to be a draw.
Yeah,
well, to do what he wants to do. Obviously, he did say in his post-fight in the octagon, said he's going to go off to do boxing. Well, he could do something that McGregor couldn't do, which is take over the sport of boxing. Probably smoked a bit too much because I don't think he's going to be doing much as the takeover boxing sense. But the door is open for a return to the UFC, which means we could see it. We could see the trilogy.
Could see it. I think that's the only fight he comes back to UFC for.
Yeah, I'll get 100%. He said he wants to come back for the title. Well, you better hope that McGregor picks up a belt because there's no way he's fighting for a title if McGregor doesn't hold it.
Maybe at 55.
Maybe at 55, which is what McGregor wanted to do the trilogy at 55. But what does Nate do now? Does he go off to the world of boxing? And there's only one name, isn't there?
It is. I think it's Jake Paul. I do. Which is...
Is that before or after he gets smoked by Anderson Silva?
After. It'll be after. Look, Anderson Silva, the MMA community needs Anderson to win this. Like, there's no two ways about it. But I think that's the fight. He knows how much money he'll make from that Jake Paul fight. Even if he doesn't get the sort of eyes on the product as he would of UFC, I don't think that he cares about that. Like, he's proven himself to be a pay-per-view draw already. He doesn't need to prove himself again. Now I think it's about him getting paid handsomely, and right on. Good on him. Because
when he left, Dana probably thinking, we need to dampen his star power because he's gonna draw big money for when he does. Because he's not an if, it's a when. He's gonna fight him next year at some point, and he's gonna make a lot of money, well deserved as well, because he's been in the UFC for 15 years.
A hell of a long time.
Blood, sweat, and tears. He's definitely up there. We'll definitely do a video on this, on some of the best fighters never to hold the UFC gold.
Yes.
And he is, if not the best, probably he's definitely in the top 5.
He's definitely the most popular, that's for sure.
100% definitely the most popular. And to Nate, hey, go make your bread, but come back for the trilogy, because I need to see it. We all need to see it.
Same.
And I'll be paying pay-per-view money for that.
Yeah, same.
Go over to Tony. What happens with Tony next? Because he's 5 on the bounce.
This is the one I can't get my head around, because any other fighter who lost 5 on the bounce, you're probably thinking they're going to be released. I don't think Dana releases Tony. I don't think Tony goes back down to 55 either.
That was the next question. Do you think it'll go back to 55? Or does he stay at 70?
I think he stays at 70. The older you get, the harder the weight cuts become. He knows the only way Tony goes down to 55 is if he's guaranteed a title shot. He's not going to get a title shot.
And if he's going to stay at 70, like, who would you be comfortable watching him fight? Because he definitely looks off the pace. So you're not talking about putting him in against a Hamza, against a Colby, against a Gilbert, against a Shavkat. You want to be keeping him with strikers. Like,
Two names. Neil Magny,
okay,
who's the gatekeeper of the 70-pound division, effectively.
Yeah.
And the other one would be Vicente Luque.
Not Wonder Boy. Both in their late 30s.
Shout, actually. Forgot about Wonder Boy.
Wonder Boy is not without a fight. I did have a wild card shout, but he's booked towards the end of the year, and which was Robbie Lawler. If you want to see a legends fight,
that's a shout.
I said earlier that he looked sharp against Nick.
Those are the 4 then. Robbie Lawler, Neil Magny, Vicente Luque, or Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I out of the list, I'd probably go Wonderboy. Now you said Wonderboy. The only thing, Wonderboy is quite high ranked, but I'd probably go Wonderboy.
Yeah, because Wonderboy said, because he was offered to fight Shavkat, and he was like, I'm not fighting another grappler.
Yeah.
Again, like, I've done you a favor. I fought Gilbert, and I fought Bilal. Give me a striker. Come on, be nice to me. So Shavkat's off the table. Would you want to rebook the Leech versus Tony?
No. I think the Leech would be too dangerous for Tony at this stage.
Yeah, especially how the Leech performed against Rodriguez. The 10-pound.
Should have won that fight. I feel so sorry for the Leech.
Couldn't wear his
that fight. Got absolutely robbed.
He might be there for robbery of the year. He's on that list, because even when Dana says he's shocked that you don't get a decision.
We watched that fight live, and I couldn't for the life of you tell you how Rodriguez won that fight. How on earth did he?
20, I think it's 29-28. 29-28.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, which is crazy. So Diaz are off to boxing, and Tony's got a few fights there. Hopefully, I think he'll fight next year. I don't think we'll see him before the end of the year, do you?
Yeah, I reckon so.
Do you think we'll see him on one of the numbered cards?
Yeah, I do. I think we'll see him in December, maybe.
Hey, that 282 card, if that comes through.
That would be a nice card. I think Tony could get on that card. Don't be surprised to see Tony is the last fight on the prelims.
Oh, my day. What, do with Dominic Cruz?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Hey, Dana.
Tony versus Wonderboy Thompson, last fight of the prelim. I'd be right with that.
Oh, my days. Oh, my days. Well, yeah, again, they're putting Bilal versus Sean Brady headline the prelims at Abu Dhabi.
That's crazy.
Definitely way they're going to
they're both top 10s as well. That's actually crazy.
Hey, that's what the Arab money does, baby.
Yeah.
You can do crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
All for it, absolutely. Everyone that's watching this video, make sure to smash a like, share, and subscribe button, and make sure you hop over to the Sanderson Show. Hit that a big subscribe button. We're trying to get the count to 1,000 subs before the end of the year. We can definitely do it.
Yeah.
And also subscribe to Team Coppers as well. They're on the way to 30K for all that Liverpool goodness. Callum, what kind of lovely people expect on the Sanderson Show?
Oh, gonna do a few. I'm gonna start looking at a couple of fighters in precarious positions and start trying to map out what they're doing. Gonna start a little series called Matchmake on Monday, where I take a fighter and potentially throw 3 options and let the people decide who they think, what direction that fighter should go in. So obviously the watch alongs with yourself, gonna continue that, and then you'll obviously catch me on here whenever you need me on here or want me on here. Like, yeah, I'm enjoying MMA at the moment, man. Can't lie.
Hey, it is a nice escape from football.
Oh, bro, especially right now.
Let me tell you.
Especially right now.
And everyone that's tuning in, a massive thank you. Just one last time, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And make sure they hit their bell notification on both this channel and the Sanderson Show and Team Coppers to make sure that you don't miss another video. And we'll see you all soon.